to officially welcome you to today's webinar titled How to Not Get Stuck, Key Strategies to Overcome Process Mining Implementation Challenges. Today's program will be presented by Martin Scheid, Senior Product Manager for ARIS, Anais Garcia Gonzalez, researcher and doctoral candidate at the University of Bayreuth and Fraunhofer FIT, and Alejandro Fernandez Manzano, consultant at Chorus Consultant. Martin, over to you.
Also, a very warm welcome from my side, and I'm happy to have all of you here in the webinar. I will kick it off with some basic things that we know are part of ARIS and that are important for our customer when they approach process mining projects. So I want to start with a first introduction of what ARIS is about and why we care about ARIS and why this is also the way our customers are using ARIS in that regard. So for us, ARIS is the AI-infused process intelligence suite that gives companies full control over all areas of their operations, from strategy to execution, allowing organizations to achieve operational excellence in both sustainable and compliant. ARIS offers an independent and all-in-one suite that grows with our customer needs. In that regard, I think we are very well suited for today's webinar. And I also grabbed some of the challenges that I know from our customers, and I will show you how they can be solved and how we try to help you in your projects with the products that we have over there. Later on, we will also learn what are the challenges from the research side and from our partner that are really in those projects and work with customers to deliver value to them. But maybe I can kick it off with some basic understanding of ARIS in that regard. So ARIS consists of different parts that you know probably already, but let me give us a short introduction to it. So we have 4 parts. One is business process analysis, which is it counts also with everything that you need to secure the transformation, to transfer your processes, and to roll them out to the stakeholders. Stakeholders will also be kind of a scheme that's important for your projects. So another part is the automation that allows you to bring those transformations to life and redesign a process in BPA, so in the process analysis, and then execute them using our automation tooling. We also have a risk and compliance part that allows you to control all of the things that are happening in your business and investigate also what are the issues or the risks that your business is facing. The last part is also the process mining part. It allows to optimize and look where optimization makes sense in that regard. But to start process mining, you need also to consider some other things that are important in that regard. So let's now have a look. What are the important things? Typically, if a customer wants to start with process mining, he needs to look what are the things that he wants to do with process mining. Some customers have already an idea what they want to achieve with process mining, but I think something that we know already is they need to identify a good use case. Good use case for their business and good use case for them to execute. So good in different variations of it. So typically, the project is started with big ambitions, but big ambitions take also longer time to be achieved. And I would always recommend, if you adopt a new tooling, to start with probably a more, with a structured approach to it, and also deliver some value already quite early in your project. And this would be a very good use case from my regard. So start with that already, and then incorporate this during your journey to the later on bigger project and to the delivery of the full use case in that regard. The second thing that we see in a lot of cases is start with a clear objective and enrich those objectives with more details during the journey that you're facing and that you want to look at, because you cannot have the full clarity already in the beginning. You need to enrich it anyhow. So plan with it and live probably also with it. So in ARIS, we also have some capability that allow you to exactly do that, to have some of the objectives already in the beginning, but also enrich them during your journey later on. So for this, we have a capability in ARIS that's called KPI diagram. This KPI diagram is especially built to define those KPIs and allow you to incorporate them in your project plan and also adapt them to your needs and also to specialize to make them happen and communicate also what are the goals to your customers, to your internal customers and external customers. Let me just show how this looks like. In that case, you can see already the KPIs that are put in ARIS over here. And they are part of a KPI tree, but we also allow to have them already in here. For example, the sales order cycle time is one KPI that we can specify over here and that we can use to look into. And this is also a great thing to define the things that you want to achieve in your project. So put them in place and then also adapt them during the implementation of the project itself. So the second thing that I want to talk about is get use case owners included in your project and involve the people that you want to talk about and that you need anyhow to work with. So typically it's also the people from IT, especially for process mining, that need to get all the data in for your process mining project. And if they are not on board already, you need to get them in. Probably already at the beginning to bring your process mining project alive. And another thing directly related to those users that you want to get in, to the stakeholders that you want to get in, make them work in your project. So if they put some work into getting the project done, they are even more involved into those projects and will allow you to also capture some things that you might have not in the beginning of the project. So this making them work is probably kind of a scratch, but you need to get at least some feedback in on the things you want to achieve. So even this is something that we would always recommend during this project phase, to get also those insights already in the beginning. It is also something great if you show them the Process Explorer in our process mining tool, because this already gives you some insights of the things that are visible already over here, some rough process understanding. And this is typically something that also most of the people like, to have already a rough understanding in the beginning, and they will see something there that they are interested in and that will make them encouraged. So if you're looking at a use case, and this is something I mentioned already in the beginning, we also have something that will help you to identify some of the use case that you can quickly adopt in that case. In process mining, we have a capability called the gallery over here. The gallery already has a lot of use cases already ready to use, so to say. So they are on a more generic level, but they will give you a quick start on those use cases that you have over here. For example, the accounts payable for SAP. They will come not only with the connectors, but also with some demo data that you can use to make your mind about the use cases that are available. And if you want to adapt it, you can just reuse those dashboards that come with the solution accelerator over here and adapt them to your needs. In the gallery, you can also see that some of the things that are that come with the accelerator are mentioned at the bottom. For example, the 5 analyzes, the 21 source tables, the data model, and everything that you need to start fast in that regard. And if you want to connect them to a system, then you can do it as well, because it comes also with some of the connector configuration, and you can simply use it. So the last thing I want to talk about is speak the language of your stakeholders. So to get them on board, you need also to communicate with them and get them encouraged. And if they don't understand you, there we have a problem already. And as we talk a lot about process people, especially for ARIS in that case, we also built something where we try to communicate process mining results to process people, to the process model people especially. For this, we built a capability called the process model overlay. So the process model overlay is especially built for those stakeholders. It allows you to use a process model that you can see in the background and overlay this with process mining KPIs to combine both worlds in that picture that you see over here. You can also adapt this and put more KPIs in here. You can also customize this with more colors and more descriptions. And you can also, if you're more into other modeling methods, for example, I think especially in Europe, this is an interesting thing, the EPC. This is also supported for the process model overlay. So to really give them a hint, okay, this is the process model, but we put now our measured execution on top of your structured process model to communicate those results to the people that are owning that specific process. I think this is something that our customers really like to use for exactly that. And of course, also to compare kind of the process behavior. Because what we can do in here as well is we can also see, in that case on the bottom, things that we know are in the systems. So the red ones are activities that are in the IT system, so that we know from process mining, but that are not yet in the data, in the process models. So there's a gap, and this is already something that can get people encouraged. So why is there a certain activity that we have in the data, but not in our process models? This is one capability that allowed exactly that comparison. We of course also have the process conformance check that can even give you more insights of exactly those findings. And as we are allowing the integration with ARIS Risk and Compliance Manager, we also can generate those issues already in our risk and compliance management tool to automatically generate those findings and hand them over to a risk manager to have a look at them as issues. So these are some things that I know are problems for our customers, and that where they are struggling with exactly, and how we try from a vendor side to help our customers adopting those capabilities to make it work for their use cases, for them, and be fast and deliver value to their internal stakeholders in the business. And I think this is something where I'm very encouraged in helping them in that regard. So I think this is currently the things from my side where I want simply to show you some things and how we try to help our customers with. So I think there are some other aspects to the pain points that will be addressed also from the more academic point of view now. Anais, I'd like to hand over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Then I would quickly share my screen. Here we go. So first of all, I'm very happy to be here and be able to share some of the things that I found out in my research paper titled "We Learn from Failure, Not from Success: An Exploratory Study on Process Mining Discontinuance." So as a little side anecdote, this project actually started with another more provocative title, which was "Fuck Up Stories in Process Mining." But of course, as you can imagine, that is not something that you can submit to a journal. So that's why we changed the wording, but I think it's still very, very fitting because we are looking at the things that are not going that well with process mining implementations and what are hurdles, what is being difficult, what didn't work out, and this way we hope to really also go into practice and see what is working, what is not working. So maybe a bit of context so you understand who is here in front of you today. So my name is Anais. I'm a researcher in the context of business process management, process mining, and human-centered design. The rest of the team is here to the side: Linda, Max, Adela, and Mo. As you can see, a very international team that worked on this research project, which was really, really cool. Maybe also to my place of work and where this research occurred. So I'm based in Munich in the south of Germany, and in our research institute is called FIM Research Center for Information Management, and we are also together with the applied research organization that, if some of you are from Germany, you will know, Fraunhofer, which is basically a very practice-oriented research organization. So everything that we do, we don't do just in our room looking at papers, but we really do go out there and talk to companies and try to get a bird's eye view of what's really happening in companies and how we can theorize and get more understanding out of this. So yeah, this is a bit of the context of where I come from, where this research occurred and started, and then I will give you some context on the research itself. So especially when we started 1.5 years ago, there was always the promise of process mining has so much promise. It's going to change everything in business. It's going to change everything in the world of processes. But on the other side of the coin, there was a lot of potential, but many companies faced many challenges. They remained very cautious when they wanted to fully embrace process mining. And this led only to not adopting process mining, so just being like, okay, maybe this is not for my organization, we are not prepared for this, or even, which I think sometimes it's worse, is discontinuing after having put so much effort and having put a lot of hours of time, a lot of people involved, and a lot of money, of course. So this is why we wanted to look into this, and we also see this in the research side. So process mining research has until now, because I mean it is also a fairly new topic, especially when it comes to how it is implemented in companies, because it's only very recently that it has become a commercial topic. We see a lot of successful implementation, success factors. What do I need to have the best setup? But we really don't see any other work until now about why process mining fails, what kind of process mining failures exist. And at the same time, this is a very theoretical point, but information system discontinuance is what we use as a theoretical lens. So we look at what makes information systems not work, and this is kind of how we framed this research at looking at process mining as a very concrete example of an information system. So this poses a question. So what are these factors that lead to the discontinuance of process mining? What is really it that we're looking for? So to know this, as I said, there's no knowledge about process mining failure when we started this project, and still not so much. So we wanted to go into an explorative interview study. So we talked with 20 participants across 10 countries. also from different roles, so with vendors, with adopters, with consultants. We had interviews in various durations, and we talked with people from managerial roles mainly, so head of process intelligence, also with co-founders and CEOs. So we have really a very strategic point of view in our paper. And here we covered, as I said, discontinuance. So what happens when someone is not happy after the first bits of information they got from process mining and the first bits of the project? What happens after a big project fails or decides to discontinue, and also just in general other challenges and hurdles that people have experienced even though they maybe didn't stop process mining use. Yeah, so at the end of this whole process of explorative interviews, we identified 28 antecedents of discontinuance that stray over 4 main categories. And here I'm going to give you a few examples. So this is the IS discontinuance life cycle. So we see that you are exposed, and in this case, we see IS, we look at process mining. So we have the exposure phase, the adoption phase, and the continued use. The exposure is maybe you start hearing about process mining, but you're not really sure, so you first reject the idea. Then we have adoption phase, that it is maybe when you do a proof of concept or a proof of value in your organization and are like, maybe it isn't in the end what we're looking for. And then the continued phase is when you have been using it and here decides to not pursue this topic anymore in your organization. So here I have the different categories, and I will show you a little bit what they are a bit about. So we start with data and technology. So the topic of data and technology is one of the things that is really the first breaking point, as many of our interviews stated. So it's really the thing that makes or breaks the initiative from the very beginning. So here, especially the poor data quality. So this can happen, for example, if there's a lot of noise or incompleteness in the data, or event data is really not available in the way you would need it for process mining, that this creates a really, really big hurdle, and a lot of work has to go into data cleansing and so on. So this is the very first category, data and technology, that breaks an initiative. The second point that I wanted to mention is governance and alignment, where we have seen data and technology to be the very first breaking point, the very first thing that makes or breaks the initiative. Governance and alignment is maybe a little bit of an enemy in disguise, because it's something that normally comes a bit later on, because it's when you have already seen that you can do the process mining analysis, you can have created your first insights out of it. But now comes the point to bring this to the organization, to evaluate, to make the whole orchestration. And here a lot of things can go wrong. So one of them is the undefined roles and responsibilities. So if you really have a lot of ambiguity about who drives the initiatives, who supports it from a managerial point of view, for example, and there is often also a big gap between people that are talking the technical terms, so what is happening in the very, very nitty-gritty details, and people that are interested in the business outcomes. So here, a lot of this is due to the undefined roles and responsibilities in a process mining project or initiative. Next point that I have, and this is one that spans across the whole board. So it happens at the beginning, at the middle, and it's always present because it's people and culture. And people and culture is something that you can only impact to a certain degree, of course, but it's something that is important to keep in mind when looking at process mining implementations, because it really does shape the attitudes and the behaviors that you can expect from people interacting with it. And here, one of the main things that we see is, for example, resistance to change. And of course, this is not something that only has ever happened with process mining. We have already seen this in the past with other types of projects, also with business intelligence, for example. But here, still, there are a few nuances that are a bit different, that people are maybe not so ready to share everything. They're not so ready to make the necessary changes to make process mining stick. And it's something that is always there, that resistance, no matter where you want to try to implement process mining. Of course, sometimes it can be much more, sometimes it can be much less. And something to keep in mind, something to create also your strategy and methodology around, to see how you can really bring people along for the ride and kind of try to push this resistance to change to a side. And now at the end, we have context. So context is a very, in some sense, a bit different than the other categories because it's something that you really can normally not influence directly. So it is due to industry trends, regulatory environments, or other like bigger organizational dynamics like political issues, etc. But at the same time, it does really make or break an initiative as well. So something to keep in mind in this way, kind of over the other categories that maybe you can play a bit less around. So we have on the one side here budget 2 examples because I think they're both really good, and also because Alejandro is also going to touch upon some of these issues as well with his part of the presentation. So one of them is exaggerated expectations. So this is something that truly was a big topic in my interviews. So exaggerated expectations, they really do undermine process mining initiatives because they set super unrealistic standards. And this can happen, everyone can experience this, everyone that is involved in process mining projects. And it really is important to keep focus and look at what you can really do and not think that this is going to change everything. And this is something that especially at the beginning of a journey happens a lot, to think that this is going to change everything, and then all these deflated expectations, not only from the people that are maybe more in charge of process mining, but maybe also the promises you have made towards other stakeholders in the organization. Lastly, we have ineffective cross-functional coordination, so across functions and departments that hinder the advancement of process mining. So as we know, process mining is cross-functional in nature, and it requires that multiple departments and functions across an organization work together. But of course, this is very tricky. Organizations, even though this is something that we are also trying to solve with process mining, are still very siloed organizations, everyone looking at their part of the pie in the sense of the organization. And this is something that we really see when working in process mining projects, because we span across these things that normally in other types of projects we don't really do. So then maybe some implications. So what have we found? What is further development of our research? So one of the things that we challenge is the success and failure dichotomy. So it's not complete failure, it's not complete success. Many times it's in the middle. If we look at the different antecedents of discontinuance that we see, if you have some of them, it's not good, but it's also not so bad if you are stronger in others. So really looking at success and failure in a more nuanced way. Then we have the balanced perspective of success factors, especially in the context of process mining. That is really, really relevant, because this way we don't only think about, okay, process mining is going to solve everything, or this is the perfect setup that I need to inspire, but really to go step by step. And at the end, I also wanted to bring the unpacking organizational culture's role. So we really have to look into the context, which people are working in process mining, what's the culture in the company, what's all of these other things that I have to keep in mind to really make the process mining analysis stick. So that was it from me for now. And if you have any experiences or any stories you would like to share, so of course this is a finished research paper, it's currently under review, but I'm very interested in developing it further with more content, with more interviews, with more research approaches. So if you're interested, feel free to contact me on LinkedIn or here in this email that you can find here. And I'm happy to hear from you, and also happy to give the word to Alejandro.
Okay, so thank you very much, Anais. My name is Alejandro Fernandez. I'm part of Chorus Consulting, and I'm happy to here also to share my knowledge and my experience. I've been specialized in process mining projects since, I think, 2016, since when no one talked about this and no one cares about process mining, and I'll try to evangelize organizations in order to know the discipline and adopt it. So regarding to the main insights that Anais shared in her study, where I advanced at 90% of them, I face it in my professional career. I will try to resume a little bit what's a process mining challenge, what that means for me, and try to do it a little bit in a nutshell to to get the things clear. So I will try to share my screen right now. Let's see this. So everyone is seeing my screen. Could you, Anais, say me you are? Yeah.
Looks
Okay.
fine.
It's all
So,
there.
yeah. Okay. So, in my opinion, as Anais also said, the most important task of a process mining initiative is to collect the right data. Why is this? Because as in any other technology, if you put garbage in, you will get garbage out. It could sound obvious, but this is not a trivial thing. Because to have precise and useful analysis, you will need to get and to collect enough and concrete data to describe your process, but for a business perspective or a business point of view. And this is where the initiative gets interesting, because it's not something you can do from the IT side only, neither from the business side only. Sometimes when I arrive to an organization, and I'm sure that most of you has faced something like this, not only in process mining project, but in every technology project, I see kind of a battle between business and IT about who is in charge of the initiative. And this is because IT departments and business departments are so different worlds inside of an organization. They have different bosses with different objectives, and also they talk different languages. When you put together a business guy and IT guy in a room for a meeting, you see how they struggle to understand each other, and they struggle also to collaborate in the benefit of the project. Because as I said, they may have different objectives for this project. So this is where you need to put your main efforts on the project to convince them that this is a cross-organizational effort. They need to work together. While business guys must define the business objective and provide the business context for your process, the IT guys must make the effort to collect the complete data, all the data that relates to that business requirements. The main question could be, okay, so how can we do that, or how can we solve this? To solve this, the main point is to get the correct sponsor. I mean, kind of a boss that is able to cover both departments and that is able to enable resources from both sides and to be involved from beginning to end in the initiatives in order to ensure that every task is done. This is not a so easy thing, because these guys normally they are like kind of C-level executives, and they has a lack of time in order to be involved directly in the initiative. But you must ensure that they are aware of every phase that you are delivering, and that the project is following the steps and following the methodology and the things that should be done in order to make success. Let me check because, okay. Sometimes, or many times, when I start with these kind of projects, I see maybe that someone in the organization have heard about process mining, and they say, okay, I will try to do this inside my company. And they hire a consultant firm, they give them some data and ask them to deliver an analysis. And obviously, every consultant firm will say, okay, I will do whatever you want. But this is something that is only good at short term in order to get paid for this work. But finally, maybe they have enough data to make some nice analysis and some nice KPIs or insights. But when they are asked, or we are asked, to to make some changes on the process to improve that business KPI that was the original objective of the project, we see that we are lack of data. We see some gaps on the project. Maybe we see that, okay, we have these bottlenecks here and these bottlenecks here, but in order to get the root cause of that bottleneck, we need more data. And that's where the problem starts, because the customer normally says, okay, but the project was allocated only for this scope, for this phase. And right now, if you need more data from this another system on this other project, this other process, we will need to allocate some more resources. We have no budget, or maybe the Scrum of the IT team that should collect that data is not available until 3 months later. So finally, as I said, at short term, we have delivered this first project, but the sensation about process mining is that it doesn't work it. So normally, this could work for a proof of value or a proof of concept, but I could tell a story right now about a big bank here in Spain I've worked with, that they try to start improving the loan process. The loan process is one of the core processes of the bank. And when we arrive there, we only have data from the orchestrator part of the process. So we cover only 80% of the process. We delivered an analysis with all the data we get, but when we went to the insights, we saw that, okay, but the end-to-end process that goes to that KPI, that builds that KPI that we want to achieve, that finally was the conversion rate, is related also about the initial sub-process, the simulation of the loan, and also was related about the risk management process in order to ensure that the customer has enough funds in order to make the loan. So when we ask for that data, finally, that data was not available. So if you cover this part, if you get a good sponsor and you allocate all the resources at the beginning and you get all the data needed and you make a good plan for the project, for me, the project is almost done. And this is because if you follow the methodology, you will get the project with a success. It's really simple. I have worked in a lot of projects in my life, not only process mining projects. I was a junior developer at the beginning and make a lot of developing projects and any other kind of process. But this process mining methodology is one of the easiest ones I've worked with. So, as we said, technology right now is really developed. We have great tools like Aris, for example, with a great ETL, also a great dashboarding tool where you can make your own analysis. Also, Martin commented about some apps ready to use in some standard projects. But the main part of the methodology is to set up a good team with the high-level sponsor, with the correct process owner, with the correct IT owner, to make a good project plan in order to cover all the phases, all the systems, all the process and sub-process and variants and pre-process that we need to cover in order to rebuild in a process point of view, rebuild that business process KPI that we want to improve. So finally, I want to make a final reflection that I know that Martin likes so much, that for me is kind of an elephant in the room. Process mining technology right now is a game changer for process improvement. Once someone said to me that, okay, Alejandro, we have made process improvement before process mining, and we will continue doing process improvement after process mining with it. And I said that, okay, it may be true, but in the past, we used to travel by donkeys, until the car was invented. So try to give your consultants, your process consultants, the power in order to create a more precise, more useful, and for sure more actionable analysis in order to not only deliver PPT insights, but deliver digital twins of your process that allows you to make some automations, and also because these digital twins are the keys to open the door for AI to start enabling changes and transformations in your processes. Maybe this is for another next webinar to talk about how AI can use that digital twins in order to work and to make things easier. But for me, something is true. The time has arrived, and process mining is ready to solve all your process inefficiencies. The only thing you need to do is, as also Anais says, make the real expectations, know how to do a project, know what do you need to do a project, and convince your customers that they don't need or they shouldn't play around with process mining in order to test it. They can do some proof of value, they can do some proof of concept, but the real value of process mining is to make that cross-organizational effort, bring to the table all the data you have. I'm sure that every organization has a lot of data that maybe is not ready to use right now, but if you achieve to get that data in the process mining platforms, I think for me, in 2 weeks, if you have the complete data, you can make a great project, you can make great insights, you can make your business process so much efficient that they are right now. So it's all for me right now, and maybe.
Yeah, thank you, Alejandro. That was, I think, also a great last point that you made. I like also the donkey and the car. Probably there might be also some donkeys going on in the future that we need to resolve at a certain point in time. But I think we're on a good route over there. Also, to the last point, I think it was also mentioned that in process mining, 95% of the effort goes into data preparation. I think this is also something that's up to the project, but I think some percent really, or a large number, goes to data preparation, right? So how do you see this?
I think that it's not only, I will not summarize that data preparation, but I will say organization preparation. I mean, as Anais said at the beginning, organizations should adopt this and maybe should be convinced of doing process mining before starting doing process mining. Right now, we see a lot of organizations trying to test process mining and trying to achieve things as they were doing a complete effort on process mining. So if you do try to play around, you will get some little things.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we also have a lot of questions that are waiting just for us. Probably one for you, Anais. What's the biggest surprise in your research that you had so far? Can I also move this? Yeah, good. What's the biggest surprise that you had?
Yeah, so the first part was, I mean, we started the research mainly with people from our network or people we knew from the institute, but we also did like a big LinkedIn reach out, and a lot of people reached out to me and were like super, I mean, I think it's, of course, I was expecting that it was more difficult to find people to tell me about their struggles with process mining than to tell me, yeah, everything is perfect around here. So I think I was positively surprised to like really in those interviews that people were super open about everything that had happened in the organization with process mining, all their stories. And I think that is a process that was really fun as well. And from the results, I would say how much really is, I mean, I think this is a bit of a paradox of what was just discussed, with that 90% of the effort goes into data preparation, but I was more surprised about the nuance of how much can really go wrong in context, people, culture, governance, etc. So one thing is what you're doing with the process mining analysis, and the other, what is happening with this in the organization, how we bring in these insights into things that are actually happening and creating real value. So I think this is something that I was surprised in the sense of, there's a lot of reasons, a lot of nuance, a lot of different stories that can happen there. And this is also, I mean, more from a personal level, something that really motivated me to continue doing research in these kinds of issues and having a bird's eye view into what can really happen, what happens in this organization, this other organization, how can we leverage this knowledge. So yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, and I would agree. So all the process mining community, all the people that I worked with in the past are really great people. They are open, and most of them also like to share what are their insights and where they struggle and how they resolve the issues. So this is something I can more than agree on. So another question is from Nico. How we can justify a project and cost plan and ROI? Are there studies on this? So do you know from studies? It's probably more about the value generation and project governance. So do you have an idea? Are there studies from research probably, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there are a few studies about how, also process mining methodologies, etc., how to, governance, for example, as well. So process mining governance, what do you need to set up concretely, and kind of this in a very structured way. We call this, I think it's a taxonomy, but I'm not really sure, which is like a categorization of what are the different aspects that you need to put. And maybe in that direction, but I don't know if the question is also maybe a bit for Alejandro, in the sense of how do you convince people that you should start this project and you should get a lot of management attention and so on. I think that is something that is not solved in research.
For me, I can point out one of the best preparation we have made for a process mining project. And we started with kind of a maturity assessment of the organization, where we describe and studied or analyze all the organization departments, how much knowledge has the process owners about the process, but also the systems, the data, the IT owners, to locate the correct people on the organization. As I said, the first part of the methodology is to set up the team, to define the initiative, to define the business objectives, and so on. So finally, that assessment project ended with a proof of value of one real project of process of the organization, and starting with some simple process. I think that Martin you commented this at the beginning, that starting simple. So I think the proof of value could be a good idea in order to see how much value could you get with a little effort, in order to try to extrapolate that if you do a bigger effort, you will get bigger value. Also, as you commented also before, a core process of an organization is not so easy process. Normally, they run in legacy systems, in ad hoc systems. So you will need to be aware of, okay, to make this, to collect this data, I will need to rely on these internal experts. So you must be aware that you can see the costs, exactly the cost you will need, and the ROI you can extrapolate it from your proof of value. So if you see an effort of 1 month in the proof of value and a ROI of 2%, if you make an effort in a core process of 3 months or 6 months, you maybe will get a 10%. So I think it's something that is really useful for everyone. And also a nice comment about realistic expectations. We are not willing to improve a process in, 50% or 60%, but 10% maintaining in the time, in all the executions, it will get a good ROI on that.
Yeah, okay. that sounds all right. I think then the other question is also on the ROE, which we just resolved. Probably some questions now looking at the votes, because we have some with higher votes. So probably also that, probably also for you, Anais, from the 20 failures use cases interviewed, how many different tools are involved? Is there also a relationship to a specific vendor, context over-promising? Let me also share this. So I hope we didn't too much over-promising.
No, from what I got in my interviews, no. So from those cases, it was actually quite diverse, I would say. So we had 9 different tools mentioned. But this means also sometimes also the companies did a few of them or so on. There was sometimes a relationship to specific vendor in that specific factor that you mentioned. I would say that there was, and I think there's many different approaches in the way that vendors sell the tool and say what is capable of doing. Diplomatic answer.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I hope this answered the question. So this is also answered. So I think there is also, do we have more with 2 votes? Are there also, so is there a documentation for the gallery use cases that we just saw? I think it is. I think I can also change, so I think we have some presentations also on that should document all the stuff that's in the process mining gallery. But let me double check this and share this with you. So this is also something that I need to follow up on. Okay, then I saw also a question or a comment, probably more. Is it generally more straightforward to implement a new workflow tool such as Camunda, or is it simply to adopt a process mining solution purely for monitoring purposes? Probably I can start with my thoughts on that. I think it might be, to be honest, because it's also up to the use case that you want to look into. So it might be very fast to implement a first state, at least, of a workflow, but as you want to mine real data from production systems that are running for a long time, that might have been customized, and where there are a lot of issues in a way, I think it's also in some cases a bit of a problem or a bigger problem to adopt this. But at the end, I think if you just want to implement something, then you can do it. But I think what we try to achieve is real process transformation. So adapt the process and make them work and remove the problems that might be in place with the execution already. And it might not only be a workflow that's in place. It might have a lot of interaction with other systems or with SAP or a lot of systems around this. And there's typically a higher complexity with this multitude of systems that you need for process mining to generate the real insights end to end. But as I said in the beginning, if you start quick with a certain step or with a certain workflow, this is also a bit easier to mine. So do you have also thought on that?
I don't know. I think process mining, you should see process mining as your digital twin. So I think that it will be always useful to have a digital twin of our organization for monitoring or for making new workflows or whatever you want. That the reality is right now we don't have some transparency of what organization is running. So maybe we have the final result, the final KPIs, but the ideal situation is to start adopting it wherever you want. You have to fit your organization, you have to fit your needs, you have to fit your concrete situation, and start wherever you want. But finally, if you have a complete digital twin, it will be better for years and years and years. I think it's a change of the paradigm of process improvement. So I think that every approach could be okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree, I think, to that. Probably one question from my side to Anais, that's very, so what can we do from a tool perspective better in that regard? Also looking at your research, so what should we adapt?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question. We can also maybe follow up on that in another occasion. But I would say what comes to me spontaneously is, to really look into what are the structures in the company. So who is going to be the owner of the tool, who are going to use the tool, and like kind of really understand what's going to happen with it, and probably also use insights like this to understand, okay, maybe in this case it's better to put it in this part of the organization. This type of people maybe need this type of guidance. I'm sure you do this probably in like a case specific way, but maybe to have like a bit of a more context around this topic would be really interesting.
We indeed have something for this, to be honest. And we're just thinking we have so-called fast track services. They are exactly built to deliver fast projects, and also the things that Alejandro mentioned to our customers to make them comfortable with the tools and to kickstart their first use case.
Because I think something that I saw very often is that, I mean, of course, the people that I talked to were the people that were the most experts of process mining in the organization. So I think this is a very skewed view of reality. So I would be interested in doing a project like this, but maybe talking to all the different people that are working with it and seeing, okay, what are the different ways in which they see process mining and what it can do for them. So I think maybe to kind of have this global view of the users and global view of the interactions between them could also be really nice. And in this way, you can also adapt this fast track to see, okay, which users are going to use the fast track. Maybe there's something in between of like how to show this value to the company and so on. So I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think this is also something we can follow up. Happy to share this. Also for customers that are interested in it, just reach out. I think we can also connect you to the people to get you started fast, and where we can help you. Also to Alejandro, who also did a great job, I think. One last question I want to get in here. So is it possible to develop data exchange interface to other non-predefined systems? So so looking at this, I think we are very open for all data sources at the end that we can get data in. So we have a connector. The connector is very generic, and we can just grab the data from probably any source. There might be some data preparation needed, but typically we need to get the data in a specific structure. You need to have a case ID, so an identifier, you need to have a timestamp, and you need to have the action that has been done. If this is in your data source, we probably can work with it and make something from it and get the data in. So do we have something left? So I think we have 1 minute left for this webinar. Do you have words to say at the end from your side? I think we had a great webinar.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thank you.
No, for me, the only thing is that I think that everyone has some data on the table right now. Every company has some data that to start testing and to do a proof of value. If you choose some, as you said at the beginning, easy process in order to test the technology, to start understanding it, and to start training the team, and you will see that you get great results with little effort, because right now technology is really good. As I commented before, I started in 2016. It was not so good, the technology, so it was so much effort right now it's really, really easy to upload data and to play with it and to get some insights. So the other part is, as we said, organization preparation and data preparation. And that's not something, is not related exclusive to process mining. You will use data for, or you can use your data for several things. So I think that process mining is kind of a discipline that could take advantage of every data initiative in companies. And I know that a lot of companies are doing these kind of initiatives. So why not use process mining and start seeing it from a business perspective?
Yeah, that's all right, I think. So I think we haven't the chance to cover all the questions, but we will follow up on all of them and reach out to you. And I hope you liked the webinar. We had some great speakers currently with us that hopefully entertained you. And yeah, thank you all for your attendance, and looking forward to see you in the next webinars. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.